What is up? I'm Miguel Antonio, and you are listening to the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. And before we jump into the podcast, I'd love for you to check out my band, Run With It. Here's a clip from our song, I Need a Light.
It was the middle of the night. My only friend was the highway. I just started to drive. No direction, only miles spent. I was losing my mind. Nothing more than tears and shaking. Where the moon was so bright. We used to spin and spin. I see my darkest days, see my darkest days. I see my darkest days, see my darkest days. I need a light, so bright that the sun seems dim. I need something that will not fade, held tight like the hand of a friend. I need someone that won't run away.
If you like what you heard, make sure you check us out at Run With It Band, at Run With It Band, everywhere you follow people at, or go to runwithitband.net. It'll take you to all the different links you want to go to, and there'll be a little button you can click for booking information. Now for today's podcast.
The Live and Create podcast.
Yeah, it's a good
So
start.
you're out in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Are you originally from there or moved out there for music and stuff?
Yeah, so born in Idaho. Where are you at, by the way?
I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay, cool. Kansas City.
Yeah.
So you're by Josh is in
Yep.
Kansas
Yeah.
City too, right? Right on.
Yeah.
You guys should link hopefully eventually.
Yeah, definitely. What's funny is I had seen him, like, he popped up on my feed, like, independently of me knowing him. I was like, this dude looks super familiar, and he's like
Yes.
spitting some great stuff out, and I'm
Yeah.
loving it. And then
Yeah.
it took me forever just to connect the dots. I was like, well, no shit, I actually know this guy.
Did you know him
like
before?
in real life. Yeah, we knew each other
Oh.
loosely just because of the music scene here
Sure.
in town.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Idaho, and
Yeah,
Idaho's
sorry.
gorgeous.
Yeah, Idaho's cool. I mean, born there, but then instantly we moved to California when I was like 1 or 2. So I don't really remember
Okay.
the early part. Went to California for a little bit. Came back to Idaho though. And then in 2004, we moved to Illinois. I've been in Illinois ever since.
Yeah.
Lived most of my life here, and then I moved to Chicago from the suburbs about 4 years ago. Be 4 years in July.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're in the city proper, like right down in the mix of it.
Yes, pretty much. No pun intended. I like that. I mean, like, there's the
I had to sneak
big
that
city.
in.
I like
TC in
that.
the mix.
I liked that. So there's the big city, but I'm kind of like it still is Chicago, but it's more like where the Cubs are playing at. It's kind of by Wrigleyville.
Okay, I'm not super
So
familiar with that part.
yeah, it's fine. It's just a little more north of the downtown city part. It's kind of like a more north. I don't know. It still is Chicago, but
Right
it's
on.
nice because I'm not like in the craziness of the city, but I'm still in city enough stuff. I'm right by the lake, right by Wrigleyville, so it's a good spot. Yeah.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Now suburbs. So I worked a few summers in St. Charles out there. We'd pop over to like
Okay.
Elgin area. Were you in
Okay,
that area over there?
I recognize Elgin. St. Charles, I don't really recognize, but Elgin, I recognize. I want to say it's a little more north. So I lived like an hour south of Chicago for,
Okay.
2004 to 2000, basically 2020.
Right on.
Mainly grew up there. I claim Chicago now. I've been there 4 years. I think I'm allowed to claim it. So,
You absolutely 100%.
but Kansas City, so you're not living right in the city, obviously. You guys have a home kind of close by, or what?
Yeah, we're out. So we used to live like almost right in the city. And then during the pandemic, everything got like shit got weird. And so we ended up, we moved up like we live in the middle of nowhere now. And during the pandemic, it was kind of nice. We had like space, and our boys, we have 4 boys, so they could run around, do their thing. But then after everything opened back up, I'm like, man, we're far away from everything now. So
Yeah.
everything's a minimum, well, in the Midwest, a 30-minute drive is a long time. I understand if you live in the city. I have friends who lived in like Naperville out there, and they would talk about, they're like, dude, like Kansas City, they moved here, and they're like, Kansas City, this is nothing. Like if we wanted to go in the city for like, it was like, we better get a hotel in the city overnight because it's gonna suck balls coming back later on.
So you're
But
saying
yeah.
in the town you're in, like you're saying you're 30 minutes from Kansas City, or you're 30 minutes from like grocery stores and anything?
No, 30 minutes from Kansas City. It's not.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not
That's not
as
bad.
rural. Yeah, it's not too bad.
That's
Not
not
too
yeah,
bad.
that you're right. That is not bad at all compared to people live like an hour from Chicago. So yeah, that's not bad.
It's insane. So
Cool.
with the music, man, it's been interesting because I've been going through like the Sync Alliance's backlog and for the listeners, TC and I have gotten connected through the Sync Alliance, which if you've been listening for a while, they've heard me talk about it quite a bit now in the last few months. And so I've had a chance to go through all the backlog of music reviews. And I think one thing that's impressive about your catalog is you seem to have this wide range. Like you have this hip hop rap thing. You're working on this like country, like almost like Shabuzi-esque kind of thing.
Yes. Good job.
Going across all these genres. Is that new for you, or have you always had this eclectic taste in music?
Yeah, appreciate you doing your homework. I love that. And thank you for the Shabuzi comparison, because that's what we've been trying to, kind of chase, because dude, he freaking blew up and we're like, I think we
Yeah,
could
you
do
did.
our own kind of side of this. Yeah, I would say I think when I came to sync is when I learned to try to kind of expand more. Like I've been making music for years, same as you, right? Um, and it was typically just rap. I did, you see my wall here, DMX, Eminem, Big Sean,
You got your
ASAP Rocky.
heroes.
Yeah, right. So it's been mainly rap. But then, of course, in the pandemic, that's kind of when rock started to have its comeback,
Mm-hmm.
and alternative was coming in more mixed with rap. So I kind of leaned into that because I've been doing rap for so many years, and it was kind of getting played out. And I'm like, well, let me just try out this rock stuff with rap and a little bit of mix of stuff. So that's where I kind of started to lean more into trying other things. And then coming to sync, it depends who you talk to, right? Some people say like find your strength and just go, go, go. And I did that with rap and it was cool. I'm like, well, let me try this a little bit. So I kind of dove into, I think it was kind of just, R&B maybe a little bit. And then this country rap stuff started to pop up more. I'm like, well, kind of I always stayed away from country, but I'm like, you know what? Whatever.
Let's go. Let's
Yeah,
do
fuck
this.
it. If it's selling, dude, and I heard like Shabuzi stuff and Post Malone, MGK. I mean, I really got to give. I know, I don't know. Do you like MGK or do you hate him? Let's be real.
So he's in that piece where that conversation that I don't know if you saw that thread where they're like unpopular music opinions. I was like Nickelback gets way more hate than they're supposed to, than they should. It's one of those things where like I think the same. There's some MGK songs that I really love, but then there's always that piece where like if you're around like your super music snob friends, you're like, should I say that I like MGK because they might beat me up, but they won't because they're musicians. So it's.
You're right. Yeah, and I'm glad that you can see though. You can see past the. It's kind of like Limp Bizkit, Nickelback, like which I love both of them by the way.
Right.
Like I'm not scared to say it because they
You're
have
like,
catchy.
I'll let it out.
Yeah, dude.
They had some bangers, man. That shit,
They did.
There's some good shit in there,
and it still hits to this day.
Yeah.
So
what's the one? It's like I'm not like you when I say sorry.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah. I can't remember the name
I was
of
singing
it.
that the other day. It's Pam wrong. I've been down.
On the bottom
I can't think of the name.
Bottle.
These
three words.
Are we having fun
5
yet?
words? Are we having fun yet?
And
Like, what is that fucking song?
I don't know, but I was listening it the other day. That's pretty sad. I can't remember.
Yeah, and I feel like one time it came on the radio, just recently, and then I caught myself just like screaming out, and that's when I was like, I can't really give these guys hate because this shit still, like you said, there's still some like angst that I remember connecting with that.
But yeah,
I love.
That's how you know it's a classic. If it's still hidden 20 years later and it's still making you want to sing to it, like you gotta give them credit, regardless of if they're corny. There's actually a good documentary you should watch on them. It's pretty good.
I've heard about it. I've not seen that one yet, though.
Yeah, I think you would. You're in a band, so I think you would really appreciate it and what they've been through, and they fought through, and they're still popular. So anyway, what was I saying?
You were talking about
MGK
going to country and even how MGK went that direction. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of saw him doing that. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just take that concept to sync? And I'm not going too crazy with like I'm not gonna go if it's something that I feel like I'm not adding value to, I'm gonna try to not do that. But so far, I think I found a couple different genres that I'm able to add value to, and with sync, like if you can spread your seed, spread it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, and I feel like your voice still comes through where like there's this thing that is authentic to you. And that's where like Shabuzi obviously has just this authentic thing of like what he's doing in that space. And even Post Malone, I didn't want to like it because I love his like more hip hop and like pop stuff. And I
yeah,
was just like, dude, are you just
I know.
riding the country trend? But
Yeah,
then when the song came out,
I can't by myself. Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
damn, I was at the gym listening to it. I was like, damn it.
it's
It's
pretty
good.
good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I literally heard I was lucky enough to see him a few nights ago in Wrigley, and he killed it, man. And he did the
You went and saw him
it was
live.
I did, and it was pretty country. I was like, how country is this gonna get? But it got pretty country, and but he did a good job, man.
Yeah.
And he's from Texas, so. But yeah, like that. Then I'm glad you said that. Like if it didn't sound good, I do a couple to see, and if I'm not getting good feedback in our group, or if I'm seeing weird feedback when I post on Insta or TikTok, I'll be like, all
Right.
right, well, we tried it, but. So far, things are going pretty good with the different genres I've tried, and we'll see what comes next. Yeah.
But so for you though, it did start in the hip hop realm.
Yeah.
Was that what were you like, 8 years old and rapping like in your room, like practicing? Like, is that where it started for you? And then started taking it to stages? What did that look like to grow into the hip hop world?
Yeah, good question. It's funny how like things come full circle. So really my first rap that I got to record was like a basketball rap.
Okay.
I didn't write it though, I will say that. My dad wrote it and my one of my buddies, it was like my brother's girlfriend's brother. He wrote two of the verses, my dad wrote the middle verse, and it was a song about basketball. It's called Nothing But Net.
Nice.
And
Did
it's
they have their
crazy.
PRO? Did they give you all the numbers? Had their shit?
We should
You
have.
got your split sheet going?
We should have, man. I wish we would have recorded it like
That would have
like
been amazing.
Oh, I know. But it's crazy how it comes full circle. So that was called Nothing But Net. And that was
And how old
just
were you?
you're probably right. I was about 8 or 7. You're
Really?
good.
Okay.
That was on the yeah.
Nice. I just got
So
lucky on that
you
one.
got lucky. That was smart. Um so yeah, do you want me to kind of tell you how it like went from there or just with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. No,
So
I'd love to hear that story.
yeah, so basically did this basketball rap for I was at a church. There's a church basketball camp. It was called Nothing But Net. So my dad helped me write that and my friend too recorded it and then we had like the whole group of kids yell on the chorus, Nothing But Net. It was pretty cheesy, but it was a good start and then I like wrote a rap about like Eminem and rap beef, like rap beef. I'd watch VH1 you probably remember this maybe. VH1 would do like documentary type stuff about like beefs and rap or I don't
I
know.
think I
No.
caught that piece of the
Sure.
VH1 stuff. I saw a lot of the storyteller stuff, but
Yes.
yeah,
VH1 does behind the scenes stuff, what they did back then. And I just remember that hit me, so that was the first rap that I wrote was about rap beef. So like my roots were in hip hop, even though I had nothing worthy to be involved in hip hop. I'm a little kid in Idaho, but early influences, DMX, Eminem, Ludacris. Those were like my first real
nice man.
like that changed my life. Middle school wrote some stuff, high school remixes, college original stuff, after college more original stuff. Tried that for a while and then found Sync Alliance about 2.5 years ago and switched, kind of pivoted, but still make original music too, but
Mhm.
pivoted to Sync. And then now here we are. That's kind of the quick version.
Now, are you going out performing live? Like when you said original stuff, you're dropping albums, going out and touring, playing shows. What did that look like for you before Sync?
Yeah, first live performances were like talent shows. Talent
Okay.
shows were cool. And that was kind of the validation thing. I'm like, am I good at this? I don't know. And I go and do talent shows and won a couple and just they went well. People were like, whoa, that was pretty good, dude. I'm like, okay, maybe there's something here. I know you can relate to that. Like when you do those first live
Yeah,
performances,
you're like, oh,
you're like, was
okay,
that yeah, but you get that validation. You're like, okay, I need to pursue this because there's a power in the room when I did
right,
that. And I know you can get that as well. So,
absolutely.
yeah, I would say the
Yeah,
first were, yeah, just talent shows. Eventually, it led to live performances of remixes at bars where I wasn't even old enough to be at the bar.
Love it.
they would let me like sneak my friends in. It was weird. It was weird, but we would make it happen.
Like, y'all can be here, but if I see you with a drink, your ass is out.
I know. Well, it was so awkward. They would have to like pregame and show up, but then they couldn't get drinks at the bar, and I don't know. Yeah. So
Like you do.
yeah. It was cool though. It was cool. So I did that, and then eventually I learned how to like throw my own shows, and it was cool. But man, throwing shows it's a process, and
It's a
getting people to
grind.
come out, and
Mhm.
it's exhausting. It is.
Yes.
So I've paused on that for a little bit for now. I even tried street performing here in Chicago a couple
Okay.
summers ago. Also exhausting.
Yep.
I
That's
think
when our band was on tour. If we had days off, we would find a neighboring city and just go there and do street performance. Like Asheville, North Carolina was one. We've done New York City a few times, like Washington Square Park, and just out there hustling because we're like, we got a day off. But yeah, it is its own other kind of hustle of how do you engage people and bring them in and make it make sense and recruit fans and make some money because you got to pay for a hotel that night, that kind of shit. So yeah, it's a whole other hustle.
Totally. And at least you had a band because I'm by myself. So I'm like, I strained my voice. I think I actually permanently kind of damaged my voice a little bit, like for forever.
That's scary.
So that kind of pissed me off. And I'm like, well, maybe I need to back off with this performing thing a little bit for me. So now I kind of just do the recording thing and that's it for now. I would love to perform live again someday, but I just don't want to I don't want to screw this up where we're at. So, yeah.
Well, and that is a big piece, the vocal. I have to be very conscious, especially now where I'm realizing like I'm getting ready to start writing top line stuff as well as my band stuff. I have like a solo thing I'm working on. I have a lot of shit and a lot of things in the fire, but it like hit me because like some days it'll be like Sunday or Monday. I'm like Sunday afternoon, I come home, I finally come back from the road and my voice is already kind of tired. And I'm like, could I record on Monday? No.
Yeah.
Nothing that people would want to hear. And then, like you said, I actually had a time where I lost my E, F, and F sharp in my break, in my voice. It was just gone. I could sing above it and I could sing below it. Yeah. But every time I'd go to that E, F, or F sharp, it was just gone.
Wow.
And that was really scary. And it's it's almost like one of those things where I have to be so conscious of it now. That was about 2.5 years ago. We were going pretty heavy, or no, that was longer ago when we were going heavy. Anyways, but it's one of those things where even though so much time has passed, I have to be very conscious. It's almost like if you fuck up your knee and you heal it, you got to be careful because if you twist it in the wrong way, it's coming back,
Yeah, that's right. And how long was that out then when you said that range you mentioned?
I think when it was like fully gone, I think it took maybe 6 months, I want to say, to get back. And we were doing like TV performance stuff and everything. And so I had to like figure out how to sing all of our songs because unfortunately the break and those few notes are kind of like they're hitting in more of my money notes anyway, is where we wrote most of our songs to like peak and then it'd go up to that G. I could still hit the high G, but I had to work all these weird things around, but man, it got scary and I just had to stop singing for a while. So I get it, man, where you're like, let's reassess, let's figure out what's sustainable, especially in the sync world. Cause as we dive into that, the opportunities there and the fact that you could work on a song and make, 10X what you would on a club show,
that's right,
for that week. And you're like, and it could go and it could play for like what was your most recent one? Like Tennessee Titans or something that you got licensed?
Yeah, I'd say Tennessee Titans. Yeah.
Right. So like, what's the 100 people maybe that come to the club show versus how many people heard your song when you were licensed for Tennessee Titans? You're like, I gotta weigh what is going to make the bigger impact here.
That's right. But you gotta give yourself credit too. Is yes, the Tennessee Titans thing, but like when you're in a room of 100 people, you could actually touch those people and impact them personally, have a story with them afterwards, and make actual fans versus a Tennessee Titans thing. It is cool, but like, are they hitting me up now? Those people that saw the clip. I mean, no, not yet. But with the 100 people in the room, you can afterwards. It's work. You got to put in that work, as you know, obviously. But make that real connection with them, and they'll buy your merch, they'll support your record, stuff like that. So, but you're right. It's all about weighing
it. Join the team. Like where they kind of get into the ecosystem. But it like our strategy in sorry, you just got me thinking about like where we're trying to go with it is like to layer those things. What does it look like to put those into where, like, if we could get, like for us, this Kansas City Chiefs, because they're the best team in the world, pretty much. And
I don't do
except last year, but
no, they are actually really good. They are good. I'll give you that, bro. I don't do the rivalry stuff, so they're good, bro. They are. You're
right
lucky
on.
for that. So.
Yeah, it's been nice because I grew up when they sucked ass, and they just started. My kids don't know. I try to like break it down. It's like, y'all don't know. Y'all don't know what it's like to live in a losing.
I had to sacrifice.
Like, we pushed through this.
Yeah.
Anyways, to layer it, get it there, but you're also making those real connections. But it's making me calibrate what, like, priorities, and it's like, so how much energy do we put towards writing, recording versus playing, or when do we play and what kind of shows do we play? Being more strategic, where I used to just say yes to everything, and I think there's a season for that, but I think now we're like trying to be more strategic. But so you're switching, or you have switched, doing more placements. What are some of the biggest, what were some of the biggest switches for you going from writing like your artists and out front stuff to switching to the sync world? What are some of the biggest changes or mindset shifts that you had to make?
It's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up too, of like with your band too, like, and I've heard that question brought up in Sync Alliance too, of finding that balance. Because when I first started Sync, I was like, well, I remember even like talking to Josh a little bit about it, just like, is Sync just sync music, and then like Spotify, pursuit of like original stuff, is that a whole different world? And when I first started Sync, it was like I would just do my original stuff, and then I'd do the really, like, it was really obvious it was for Sync stuff, because that's how it is when you begin, I think.
Yeah, that was how I was thinking of it when I really started into the world as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like,
and I think it's probably good to start that way so that you can figure out the Sync formula, because you probably had to figure out, I had to figure out of like how that works versus just making our original music we always made.
Right.
So it was a journey. Like now, 2.5 years in, now I know that I can combine them kind of. But at first, yes, it was separated. And then eventually, I think it was what happened for me, like getting the couple first placements, those songs get put on your Spotify. So you're like, oh, wait a second. Because this is my number one song now on my Spotify is the song called Big Shot. But that doesn't match up with my brand. Well, now it does. That's my brand now. But it wasn't.
It led the way.
It did. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, you don't want to let it flow if that's how it's going. But now, like, it's making me realize more about the songs I'm making. Like, okay, wait, let's be a little more conscious about what we're making, because your biggest song might be something about basketball. So what I'm trying to do, and I'm gonna shout this guy out. Hunter Love. Hunter Love, really cool guy, super down to earth, talented dude. I met him last this January in Portland at a Formation Sound Sync event, and he gave me the opportunity to like make a 6-track project with him, and this is gonna all come together. So, and he sent me some records to get on. And I'm like, okay, so what are we going after here? Like, what's the theme and blah blah blah. He's like, so here's what we're gonna do, but I want you to do this. Instead of like thinking about it in sync, just like make it like you'd make a regular song of yours. Like, just have fun with it. And that's when it started to click for me, because I did that and I just kind of dug into my bag of like my creative fun bag, but I kept it. I didn't cuss because it's sync. I didn't cuss. I wanted to.
It's starting to train that out. Or like I put like goddamn in one of our courses. I don't know if you were in that session where I like.
Yeah, I was. I remember
I was like, hey, I'm guessing this won't work, but what should I do? Because I'm like, I'm just gonna have to like switch. Anyways, I kiboshed your story.
Even with that, dude, no, you're fine. Even with that, I think I'm starting to lean into where you could probably keep that, honestly. Now the God
Get some
part,
HBO shit going.
Yeah, or honestly, the God part might be a little more offensive than the damn part.
Isn't that wild?
It is.
I've had multiple people, and even radio people, when we tried to do that single, they're like, could you bleep out the God part?
And we don't got to get into religion. I'm gonna stay out of that. But it's just crazy that that's the part that people are more concerned about. But you could even have an all version. Like we literally signed a song yesterday where I said "Hell Nah" in the chorus because it fits so well.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not taking this out. Fuck that. I'm gonna keep in the "Hell Nah," and they, it's signed. And if they need the edited part, we can make that happen. So
Right.
my point of your goddamn line, like if it fits with it, just keep it and you can make an alt version.
Okay.
But anyway, Hunter Love. So I did that for him and I made 6 songs and it was just so fun to get to like, I knew it was for sync, but I got to get in my creative bag and be kind of weird with it and not be too worried about like being like, just typical sync music you hear. And that turned into some placements. So there's not vocals with it yet. I think those are going to come. But like the Tennessee Titans, that was from that record.
Pretty awesome.
And the Portland Trailblazers, that was from that record. Now, they haven't used the vocals yet, and that's another thing we can talk about. But it's still cool that it worked, right? So the whole point of this, I know I'm rambling, but the point of that story is Hunter Love taught me like to find a way to combine both worlds. And it's came over to my original music now. When I make original music, I do it a little more broad because that way it can fit more audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to anyone that is like listening that is in the beginning stages of sync, don't beat yourself up for trying to find that balance. It takes a year or two to find that balance, I would say.
Yeah, and it definitely been a learning curve for me. I have a good friend, Keelan Donovan. His episode was, I want to say 15 back from yours, something like that. And he got signed to a big label and like basically went from touring as a solo artist, writing his own like original stuff to going every day. I was like, "What's your days like?" He's like, "I walk in the studio at 8 in the morning. We have nothing. And by 5, we have a fully produced, completely mixed and ready to go song. And I do that every day." And I was like, what? I had never heard of that concept at that point in my life, and I was like kind of blown away. So I was really impressed. I'm like asking more and more, but he talked a lot about this concept, as I was digging into it, about this concept of writing universally, where he's like, it's not generic. It's writing like, I think you said broad, it's like, how do you write in a way that more people can find themselves within the midst of the story you're telling? And that was a huge piece for me. I like how you said that too broad, where it's like, now we're opening. I think of it almost like I'm going to open my arms a little wider and let everyone come in here. Let's talk about this story.
And more companies that have different creatives they need filled, because that's the whole point, is so that it can fit multiple pieces of media that have maybe some different things going on, but you went broad enough. But also you do have to pick some themes. You can't just but that, but it is a balance.
You're like, now it just sounds like AI. I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah. And that's a whole other thing too. But yeah. And how long have you been in sync then?
Man, so I started, I would say, like learning about the world. I had Josh on my podcast probably like 2 years ago, I want to say.
Oh, right on.
And that's where he kind of opened my mind to what the world of sync was. And I was, especially when he said he was hitting 5 figures a month. And I was like, the fuck? Let's talk,
Yeah, that's crazy.
And especially because it's like, it's the original, you're creating something that's yours, instead of like, I make most of my money performing in like cover stuff. And like, even though our band does original stuff, like we get hired also for the party band thing, all that kind of stuff.
Because people want to sing along, and until they learn your music, you got to let them sing along. So of course.
You kind of like got to earn them in a sense.
Yeah.
But so I kind of dabbled in it. It was last January 2024. I said, I'm going to I was like, I want to get into sync, but I need what I thought is I needed to create my own instrumental album. So every morning I just got up and I spent all January and made a full, like, it was a meditation album, actually.
Okay.
Like Moby, like ambient type shit.
I love ambient
stuff that I love. And I was like, ooh, this must be what the sync world wants, is what I thought to myself in my own ignorance.
I'm sure there's a place for it, dude.
And I have since learned there might be. So I do have that on the hard drive. I'm going to go eventually mix that out and do it. But then then shit just started happening. And that's when I saw the Sync Alliance thing. It was November. Okay. And we finally, all the things, all the goals that the band had, the shit we were building, we did it. And we're like, okay, all these things are rolling. And I was like, now I got to put my money where my mouth is. I need to go all in. And so it was November 2024, where I was like, ever since then, it's been like every day, learning mixing, learning mastering,
Yes.
learning the business, learning the contracts, learning
Yeah.
all this stuff. But so yeah, I'm very new. I would
Okay, so
say I think of it as like November in reality.
Okay, so you've been in Sync Alliance basically like what, 6 months, 7
Yeah,
months?
something like that.
Okay, yeah. Well, hey man, so you're off to an awesome start. I mean, I hear a bunch of your music. I'm even gonna tell you this, Miguel. Yesterday, I recorded a song, and I did this thing, like an ad lib thing, where it was and I'm like, oh shit, I think I stole that from Miguel because you had a
You can
song where you
have
go,
it. Go for it.
hey, don't you do that in one of your songs?
Yeah, it's Night Watch. We
Yeah,
do
I
that
literally
one.
stole that. I mean, I'm giving you credit here in your podcast. All right, I didn't
There
have
we
to do
go.
that,
Stamp
but
it.
I literally thought of you like, oh shit, I think I stole that from Miguel. But hey, I'll give you 5% on the split.
Let's do it.
But I wanted to tell you that because I remembered that. I'm keeping it. It sounds cool. So at least I told you, and
Oh
you
yeah.
can sue me if you have to sue me, or just steal some of my ad libs, so we'll be even.
There we go. Well, and I'll be honest with you. Our band is actually currently demoing out a song that we have you in mind on.
Let's
And
go.
so it's not ready to show. I
Okay.
want to wait till we really get like some things hammered out a bit. There's another one. We're working on a World Cup project.
Yeah.
And keeping a little more general so that it can fit in any kind of sports thing, but it can. We're going to have the World Cup here in Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of a big deal for us. But yeah, we
Let's
got
do it.
you in mind on one, and there's another one, Omega, we got in mind as well.
Of course.
Where I've been showing the guys. I was like, you got to check out this is what these guys are doing. I think this
Yeah,
would fit
love
really
that.
good.
Oh,
So
we'll do it. And there we go. There's the payoff. I steal your ad libs. I'll give you a verse. There we go. That's
there
a
we go.
fair trade.
It's win-win, no
Yeah.
percentage. Well, and I love the camaraderie that seems to be in the sync world. You seem to live it out exceptionally in all the collaborations that you're doing as well.
Mhm.
When you're diving into these collaborations, was that something you had done before sync, or was that new to you once getting into the sync world?
That's a good, great question. And you're very good at transitioning, by the way. So good job with that.
Thank you.
Definitely in the sync world. Like I should have. I'm realizing I should have been doing collaboration this whole time, but it's just ego gets in the way, and people get scared of who do you work with and blah blah blah. So no, it definitely. I did it some in my original stuff all these years, but sync is where I said, okay, it's time to. And I say this to people, and I can cuss, right? So
Yeah.
I've learned to slut myself out, literally. But it's like keeping a good relationship with each person I work with. Sometimes people can do a lot of collaboration, but then if you don't keep up these relationships, then it kind of is
It's
pointless.
like a one-night stand, and you're like,
Yes.
Whatever. Okay.
That's right. So I slut myself out, but I also take care of each person I'm sleeping with and make sure we're good. You know what I mean?
Good. You're still good. We're gonna check in.
I'll call you.
Call
But
me
no.
when you're in town.
Dude, I'm glad you said like checking in. That is a big thing. I have my board back here. I can't see it on camera, but I have a whiteboard where I keep track of all my people. I put a basketball. If the ball's in their court, I put a basketball. Like, okay, it's up to them now. I've done my part. If it's my turn, I'll write what I need to do next to their name, and then I'll put a number of what order. I like to be fair. So if like you send me something today and my friend Michael send me a song the next day, I'd take care of you first. Because I like to like honor shit, and that goes a long way in the sync stuff, especially when you slut yourself out. Your question was like about collaboration, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'll just say this.
Yeah, that's huge. Even the strategy behind that. But sound like you had a flow going there.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll put things in order, and I'll make sure and I slip up a little bit sometimes, probably, right? But and especially when you find your people that the collaboration just goes smoothly, like push with them hard and just create a shit ton of stuff, because those are the people you're going to win with the most. What was I going to say? I'll be honest too, with the collaboration stuff. I'm not going to drop names, but I had a producer, and we had a great workflow. It was going awesome. But then the whole relationship, it felt one-sided at one point, where I was doing a lot more of the work with stuff. And that's where it was like it's like I was dating them, and then things weren't going well. So we broke up, and that's when I turned into a slut. And I started sleeping around with everyone. And it lit a fire. It lit a fire under me, because I was scared. I'm like, well, geez, we were so good together. I'm like, well, I got to push myself to learn how to work with other people. So now I've pretty good at finding my finding my stride where I can get my vocals about where I want it, and then I can make sure that I talk to each new collaboration and it goes pretty well. So, yeah, so I'm kind of all over the place with that, but
No, that's cool. I like
yeah.
that it started with basketball, a basketball rap, and to this day you still have a basketball that you put next to your collaborators
Yeah,
on
I
the
know,
board.
I know.
The theme is right there, and then you're getting a bunch of sports placements as well.
Yeah,
That's brilliant.
and it is kind of ironic because, dude, I really haven't been a big sports guy my whole life. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's
But now I'm
funny.
like, oh,
I
I
would have guessed you're
know,
like playing basketball every day.
I know. So I'm like, dude, I gotta start watching this shit and get more involved. If it's working. Okay, one last thing too is my first song was called Nothing But Net. My first project I got signed, that the first check I got from Sync for getting it signed, they sent me the check. It said Nothing But Net. They chose that title 20 years later. So I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool about
There's something
full
about
circle.
that. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, man. But yeah, collaboration, huge in Sync.
Now, love the follow up, the intentionality behind it. And that's one thing I'm realizing. And it's true in the live world as well, where it's like, it's all those nuances, the follow up, like when I advance a show and like the promoter or the client or whatever you want to call them, they're just like baffled. They're like, oh, this is great. You're going through all the details, like learning that, like, if you do that shit, you are putting yourself like at the top tier in those people's minds.
Exactly.
And so I think you're hitting on that. What are some of the other tools that you feel like has helped with collaboration for you?
Question. Well, I will say that it's easier for me because I'm the artist, the vocalist. It's a lot harder for producers because they can't work as quick. Oh, I mean, I guess it depends what you produce, but like, you're in a band. There's a lot of instruments used in that. There's a lot of parts. Even if
Half the time we're trying to say like, play less, stop playing so much. But yeah,
chill out. Yeah.
Like there's 17 guitar lines. I don't know what's happening.
Yes.
But they're all good.
Exactly.
And it's hard to choose.
Exactly. But even a producer that makes beats, I mean, they probably can't work quite as fast, I'm guessing. So I will say it's easier for vocalists to get to work quicker with collaboration, I've noticed.
Okay.
You asked what some other tips though as far as collaboration?
Yeah, things that you feel like have helped it flow well and be successful for you.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think definitely the whiteboard, like I talked about, of just being and just checking in and stuff, and just like it doesn't have to be just about the music every time either, even though it typically is basically just about the music. But and just that's a good question. Collaboration. Well, just being swift, is that the word? Like being fast to deliver what you're supposed to do for them, and over delivering sometimes. Like I like to with my collaborations, it's like I'll make sure that if they're pitching heavy, I'll be like, okay, well, shit, let me make up for this by making some content for us. Or if they're heavy on the production, I know it took a lot of time for them. I'll make sure I put the disco link together for them and do the metadata, which fucking sucks,
cool.
but I'll do it.
Yes, it does.
But it's getting easier. It sucks. Or I have a guy who he pitches the shit out of our stuff. So like I make the disco links on purpose because I know that he's doing all the pitching a lot. So like finding that balance, or else the collaborations can get a little weird at sometimes if you're not balancing it out enough. Like if the other person's doing a lot of the work, and you're gonna find this too. The more you get into sync, that's some of the stuff that gets you'll see. But that's good you're in a band because you can understand that balance is very important.
Yeah, like everyone's kind of asking, like, hey, we're all splitting this. So what are you doing to make sure that splits even?
Yeah, I know, but see that
I did this thing, I did that thing, and it is hard to quantify. But then there is that thing where, like, yeah, if someone feels like they're doing all the things, and it feels like someone's just like kicking in the back, after a while, I imagine that starts to like breed some discontentment.
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't bring that up. I just do the split. I do 50-50, bro.
Yeah.
Even if I'm doing a lot of it, I'm like, well, it's because it's just too awkward. So what I'll do is I'll go maybe a couple I don't want to say too much, but like I'll do a lot of work with someone, and if, like I said, let's talk about the first person I told you about that I had to break things off. That was the problem. It was a 50-50 the whole time, but I was doing a way more shit. And then that person is hitting me up saying, hey, did you pitch today? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wait. Did I pitch today? Did you do anything? So that does
I
happen.
had a producer I was working with for a brief time, and that was one of those things where it's like for months trying to get a response, and then he asked me like one thing, and I didn't get back to him for a day, and he like got pissed, and I was like, bro, hold on, we can't.
Now,
And I
Miguel,
agree with you. I think the 50 or the split, like because we have 5 people in our band, so it's not 50 per se. It's but we do the even split because our conversation was like it's hard to quantify because
yeah,
it's like, yeah, maybe there's times maybe I wrote a whole verse, but if someone said change that one word in the hook, that ends up being the one word that everyone's singing.
yes,
Is that the word that made that song popular? You know what I mean? Like it's
I
at
know
some point, like how do you break that down? And because
exactly.
in the beginning pre-sync, there was times where we would break it down by like I wrote this much, try to quantify. And
Yeah,
yeah, once we got like looking in this world, we're like, yeah, it's just got to be even split when it comes to
it
the
does.
writing because yeah, it's like our business piece, like I do a lot of money investment and stuff, so that's a little different from the live like overall. But like when it comes to writing and like those split sheets, like for
Yeah.
us, we just felt like it was better to be like it's just an even split because how
Yep.
do you
And it
quantify it?
is.
Is it the
There's a
beat? Is it the hook? Is it the bass
I
line? Is
know.
it the I don't know.
And it just gets too weird. It's like you're trying to tit for tat or tally. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want to say it's like my guy B Sauce, he was talking about the other day, Brandon. It's like a Tennessee split or something. I don't know, it's like an even split. For
Yeah, and
some
that's
reason he used
actually
Tennessee.
is my Nashville friends who, because LA is what the Nashville people said, and that's where I got some of my concepts from. They're like, they'll try to quantify, like, okay, you were here this many days or this blah blah.
Yeah.
Some of my Nashville friends are like, if you're in the room, you get an even split. It's
Yeah.
like so you
It
just
just
need to
makes
make
it
sure who's in the room, like you
yeah.
choose who's in the room.
That's
So
right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, these are the types of things in sync that don't get talked about as much as like everyone thinks that sync is just happy go lucky. Everyone's about peace and wants to make music, but it does get to that where you're like, so what I do is I just do even splits and then maybe make a project with someone and you feel it out and you think, okay, now after all that we just did, we got it done. We're going to pitch it, all that, maybe get it signed. Now, how much work did I have to do and how much work did they do? And I go from there. And like if it's exhausting me, I'm like, nope. Luckily, the position I'm in, I'm blessed enough to get to make that choice
yeah,
earlier on in sync. You kind of have to just, you got to work with what you got. But when you
right,
build up collaboration, so that's something about collaborations, you can kind of choose, okay, who's balancing me out the best? Let me stick to them. Even if maybe some people might make better music, I might not work with them as much because it didn't feel fair as far as like balancing out and
right.
splits and stuff. So, yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah, back to the dating analogy. It's like, yeah, this
No,
is going
yeah,
pretty good,
yeah.
and maybe we'll hang out more. Or this
No, for
wasn't
real
it
though.
was an awkward date and it was good while it lasted, but
Yes. No, seriously though, that's what it is like it is a dating game. And like I was texting my mom earlier and I'm talking to her on the phone all frustrated. And I'm like, why am I being mean to my mom? My mom's the nicest to me out of everyone. She's my best friend. And she's like, well, you're dealing with a lot of relationships and you're trying to manage them all. And it's weird because I'm by myself all the time, but I'm on my phone all the time managing these relationships and checking in with people. And sometimes there's a lot going on that people don't even realize about this sync stuff that some people think, oh, it's just you make music, you put together and you push it out. But there's a lot of other moving parts that are crucial for if you want actual success in this. There's some other stuff that doesn't get talked about enough that is fun for like podcasts like this where you can talk about it.
absolutely. Well, that was something Jared Alua
Yeah.
was on the podcast and we were talking about where I was like, okay, is it 50 is it like 50% music, 50% networking, 80% music, like, and he just started laughing and he was like, and it's again, I asked out of ignorance, I want to know, but I'm very, very ignorant to the world still. And he told a story about speaking to a group and he was like, does the music matter? Which kind of stabs all the artists in the heart. We're like, what do you mean our music doesn't matter? It's our precious little babies.
Yes. Yes.
But he was like, how many times have you watched like a commercial or a TV show and heard a whack ass song on there? And like, he's like, everyone raised their hands. And he's like, Yep. He's like, that person had the right connection, had their shit
Yes.
together,
Yes.
and their music is not as good as yours, but they're making 25 grand off that placement and you're not. And that's when I was like, what are
Yeah.
some of the other things that you feel like don't get talked about?
Mm. And shout out to Jared, man. He's a great guy, and I
Yeah, I
got to
learned a
meet him.
lot in that.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure. I bet he dropped some gems. I got to meet him at Shades of Sync. Really cool guy, funny guy, and great personality. And he's been really supportive too. And I think he even said it, or it was said at Shades of Sync. I don't know if Jared said it, but someone said I think it's 80-20, where it's 80% business, admin, all that stuff, 20% the music.
Right.
And that's what I try to make sure that. And Josh will drop that every now and then too in Sync Alliance. When he does, I'm like, yes, that's true. Please, guys, listen to that. What's other stuff that doesn't get talked about? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much I want to say. I think that something I've realized is that this isn't a get rich quick thing.
I love that so many have said this is a get rich slow program.
I think it is though. But what's cool is I stuck to it. You're gonna see too. When you stick to it, it does start to pay off. So I'm finally getting there. I'm like, okay, let's go. And you're gonna get there too, and you might already be there some already. But something that, yeah, it takes you gotta, you have to plant the seeds. Like you can't just get in and now there might be people that get lucky with a quick brief or something, but you have to get in, you gotta make a shit ton of music and plant it. And I know you post sometimes asking about companies and signing to them and stuff, and which is good to do, but you have to just make a lot of relationships, and just kind of wait it out. Like I'm noticing even people on Sync Alliance who stuck to it, they're starting to flourish. Alex Kipp, he just
I'm
had
starting to
his
see some of those people popping up, and they'll say, "I've been doing this 2 years or do
yeah,
this long," and then this has finally happened. I'm like, okay,
but in
I
a
can
good
breathe.
way.
This,
But I
yeah,
want to push
absolutely.
that too. I mean that in a good way that you have. It's just like anything, and it made me realize, it's like a sport, which I didn't. I was pretty shitty at sports, but
Back to
even
sports, man.
I know I gotta get to intramurals or something. But it's true. Like you have to put in a little bit of time first until you're gonna see some stuff start to pop off, and that's something that probably doesn't get talked about enough in sync. I would say is that it will work. You just have to. And look, like you said, Jared was mentioning a lot of these songs, they're not even that great, but those people stuck to it enough. They met the right people and timing worked out. And timing's a big thing too. It's all about timing. Like, and going with, I'm jumping all over, but go after people that believe in you. So earlier on in sync, it's ego and you're like, oh, I got signed to this company. Oh, fuck yeah, I made it. But then you're just on the shelf. And it's nice and it is nice, but and if they do believe in you, good, keep feeding them.
Right.
But the second you find those people that believe in you are going to push you, feed them a lot. And that's what I'm noticing, is something that's important. Like find the people that are going to push you and not just let you sit on the shelf.
That's a
And that's
great.
going to,
That's a huge
yeah.
lesson because we learned that in the live world the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
We
Okay.
got signed to our first like college agency where they focus in the college market and touring, and it started off cool. They were excited about us, but then all of a sudden their company grew and they started signing all these people from like American Idol and The Voice, like people who had way more clout than us, and
Yep.
then we suddenly couldn't get calls back. We suddenly, so it was just we were just like a little piece of their puzzle where
Right.
they had these bigger artists they were way more excited about, and we ended up having like, it was a long story of like, yeah, threatened lawsuits and shit. It was weird. It got weird
Sorry.
for a while, but we learned
Yeah.
some good lessons, and kind of
Yeah.
same thing where we learned it was better off to be with people, like even if it's a smaller outfit, if they actually believed in you. And
That's right.
and that's, we just got signed to Super Selective with
Yeah. Let's go.
Nate Foreman.
Yeah.
And
Great guy.
that's what I noticed about him is when we started talking, he followed us on Instagram and then was
Yes.
like, I could see him in our stories. I could see him interacting with us. I was like, wait a minute. He's like following like what we're
Actually sees
doing.
us. Yes.
Yeah. And I was
Yes.
like, this is really cool. And to the point where he
Definitely.
even said, I want to do non-exclusive because I know you're new And he's like, we're a new company, but you're new. I want you to keep building your relationships too. And I was like, that's when I was like, okay, this feels right, at
Yes,
least in the beginning. So
that's right.
yeah, that's huge.
That's a good thing too. And yes, shout out Nate, great guy. I want to get into super selective eventually too. I'm going to work on that. But not exclusive. Like that's something that I'm trying to dabble in more now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's the thing. Like, what's the pros and cons of exclusive versus non-exclusive? But
Right.
I think you can
Well,
do
and
some of both.
from your perspective, so I have
Yeah.
some opinions from the live
Okay.
world.
Yeah.
And so real quick, my opinions is I've made more money in the live world from non-exclusive agents who some of them I've worked with now over a decade, and they've
Okay.
made
Yeah.
me more money, and we've done way more things than any exclusive like arrangement I've had with almost every single one I've had exclusive. I've had to like fight to get out of, and was so excited when it was over, kind of deal.
Yeah. I hear you.
But I don't want to carry that over into the sync world if that's not true for the sync world, because I don't know. So
Yeah.
I'm curious. Your experiences in the sync world.
I'm like half and half right now. I'm half and half. I think my first placement I got was exclusive, but then I started to get some non-exclusive stuff, and it paid better. So I'm like, oh, so you can get paid better and also keep spreading your seed. Now that was cool, but then some exclusive stuff I got paid the best for was exclusive, and it was like for doing some stuff with exclusive. So I'm like, okay, wait, this is awesome too. So
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go with 50-50 right now
Okay.
because even with non-exclusive, pitching can get kind of annoying because you have to keep pitching it versus exclusive. It's nice because you're like, all right, it's here. They're gonna push it harder because it's exclusive. I don't have to keep pitching it. Non-exclusive, it's nice because you can spread the seed and hope for more options, but then
Right.
there's probably more competition. So as of now, I look at it as 50-50.
Okay.
But
That's cool.
I'm leaning more to non-exclusive because I've gotten some cool placements. I'm like, oh, so that I got paid for that, but I can still get that signed somewhere else, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it depends who you ask and their experience.
Right. Yeah, and I think you're probably one of the first guests I've had that conversation with in the sync world because, yeah, like I said, I didn't want to carry over my assumptions that, okay, this is how the live world has worked for me. And it still may not be true in the live world. There may be an exclusive agent one day that like it makes sense in the live world for us too. So I'm not even willing to completely rule it out there. So yeah, it's a curious thing.
You might have to find that exclusive agent that really does push for you. And I will say that too. I found someone who's exclusive that we feed, and he's one of my strongest relationships in sync.
Nice.
And I'm excited about that. So it's like you can do both. You can have your exclusive person sign a bunch to them, and you can also do non-exclusive with other projects. So, yeah,
That's
man.
awesome, man.
Super selective. Let's go. I want to get in there.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you, man. Yeah. And Nate, like Nathan, he seems like a really cool dude. Like
he's
I've
down to
enjoyed
earth.
like his vibe and his passion for like independent artists. It gave me hope too, because I thought I have friends who are in a touring band. They do all their own original artist stuff, and then they have a secret sync project that they do that they don't really talk about publicly at all.
Different name. Different name.
Whole different
Got you.
project.
Incognito.
And so
Yeah.
that's how I thought we had to function. And he was like, no, I love the fact that you guys are like a real band doing this real thing. And I love the camaraderie. I love, all that. He's like, I actually feel like for what I'm trying to do, it plays into it. And I was like,
yeah,
that's kind of fun. That's exciting,
Well, with that too is what could happen is your band, and I would love for this to happen for me too, is your band could get a placement on a TV show, and then they could say, wait, who is this? And they go to your Spotify, and then they find all your original stuff. Now, I fucking hate Lizzo. I'm sorry, but I do. But that's how you agree, and that's why you're laughing.
No, well, the problem is when Truth Hurts comes on, I'm still like,
don't tell me you jam.
bitch.
No,
Just
Miguel, no. I'm leaving. This is over. This podcast is
You're
done.
like, I'm out. Fuck it.
Man, that's okay. You know what? Everyone has different tastes. That's fine. But, and props to her. She's got way more success than me. But I will say, when I joined Sync Alliance, Josh brought her up because she was one of the people that that song was like 3 or 4 years old, but it blew up. And then look at her now. She's Lizzo, but hey, she is famous. Or the band Fun. The band Fun.
Yeah.
We Are Young.
The
They
Timberland.
blew.
Yeah. Because
Even.
Timberland didn't
Oh, really?
Timberland do the We Are Young. I think he's the one who produced that, if I'm not mistaken. I could be
You're not
wrong.
thinking One Republic, are you?
I know he did the One Republic, but I swear he did. Let's see.
No
I want to
way.
fact check me on this. We Are
No, yeah,
Young.
look it up. I'm curious.
Hmm.
That's crazy if that's true. I feel like I've seen him jam to that though in a video, so you might be right.
Because Janelle Monáe, and because I swear there's a story of them. They're like hanging out at a bar, and
Oh, and they heard it.
maybe I'm wrong. It looks like that's producer's jetpack. I'm wrong. I've been telling that story so wrong.
It's
I must
okay.
have heard. Fuck. All right.
That's all right.
I misled some people. Probably
No,
like
but
10
Timbaland
people.
has
That's about
helped
it.
some other people. Yeah. It's
One
okay.
Republic, he definitely helped. And that
Yeah.
actually, to your point, that was the same thing. That was a 2 or 3 year old song that had done some stuff in alt charts. And then when Timberland remixed it with them, that's what, Apologize, like went fucking, put him on the map. So,
that dude's a great fucking songwriter too. It's like Ryan
Tedder.
Yeah, great songwriter and shit. But yeah, my point was, your band, you could have a placement and then they might go, okay, who the hell is this? I want to look at all their other stuff. So, and that's how some people have blown up and that's what I would like to do with Sync is, because it can get exhausting doing the original route of promoting your stuff. But if you're just doing Sync, you get a Sync and then that helps you blow up too. I mean, it's just a win-win. So I would love for that to happen for both of us.
Absolutely. There's a band, Greeting Committee, out of Kansas City, and they got a placement in a Netflix movie. It's like The Fault in Our Stars or some teenage drama thing.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And they didn't just get a placement in it. They ended up being the main like theme of the show.
Man.
And then they got placed as the band at like a party in the background.
Oh, dude.
And then the end of the whole show, they brought the song back as like the culmination of everything. And they were like playing a show in New York and they sold out after that movie hit Netflix and people were Shazamming it, figuring out who the fuck is this band. Next thing you know, they had to move venues. They had to do they saw like this uptick from
crazy.
One placement in there. So I definitely know it can happen. It's just doing the work and being consistent and not just hoping for the luck of it. I think that's the hard part. Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right. No, you're right though. I'm glad you said that. It's, you can't just make you can't make like 10 songs and sit back and say, all right, we did it. Like you gotta,
good.
You can for about a day. You can for a day, but then the next day you gotta get right back to it. So that's the thing too. I guess there's another thing about that doesn't get talked about with Sync maybe enough is it's not for the casual musician. You have to fucking go future mixtape mode. Like, you know what I mean by that? Like lots of music all the time or else there's no way. No way.
So to give folks perspective, when you started, you said 2.5 years in now?
About, right? Yep, almost 2.5 years.
From when you started to now, how many tracks roughly have you?
See, that's the thing. I know Omega. Me and Omega, we butt heads. He's my competitor in our class. He keeps track of all, and I know he goes crazy with 100 song challenges. I mean, if I could guess, I would say probably 200-ish, but I don't know that, right? I don't know that.
Right. But I know somewhere in that volume level.
I would say the way I look at it now is I go home and record my parents now so I can be loud as I want. I'd say I like to go record about 3 songs maybe every 2 weeks at my parents', if not more, whatever that math would be. So I'd say I do at least maybe 100-ish songs a year if I can, and that's still probably not enough. Yeah. But
that's awesome.
I don't keep track. And some people do, and if that helps, like Omega, he likes to do that, and if that helps keep him motivated to go crazy. And I've seen this guy TXSH Tosh or something. He's a very successful hip hop act in Sync. He does that type of stuff too, keeping track. I just kind of like plant a bunch of seeds and we'll just see what happens. But you definitely got to make a shit ton. Yes, if you can. It's easier for vocalists, man.
I think that helps give perspective though to folks who are just wanting to start out and so for me, my the way I just thought you had to write for an album was you write 60 songs and you pick 6. That's just what we have done as a band
Yes.
in the
Okay, I see
past.
what you
So
mean. I see what you mean.
so when I found out like in Sync World, you should just be doing volume, I was like, oh, sweet. This is great. And then, but then realizing there's other people who are like, you tell them, I think on Josh's podcast, he said his first year he did 200 tracks. And when I tell people that, they're like, the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it does it gives a perspective of kind of the get rich slow perspective. Like it's a cool, there's lots of opportunities, but if you really want, it seems like the people I've met who are doing well, like you, Omega, some of these other folks, Josh, it's like you guys are putting whatever the system is, there's a system to continue to make great music over and over and over again.
Yeah. And the thing is too, and I appreciate that. And the longer you're in this, it just comes more natural too. And you've been making music your whole life. So now you're going to get that formula down even easier. And then once you get that formula down, you don't have to go too crazy with trying to get too fancy. You just kind of make a shit ton. So, but I'm glad you said that about the because right, the old way we would do it is like making an album or something, going off of how it used to be, is 60 songs, get it down to 20, and then a couple singles. But now it's no, all 60, use them all.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I'll make some songs, I'm like, I don't love it, but fuck it, I'm gonna use it because it's all about a numbers game.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, because now I look back, I'm like, damn, I could have just finished all 60 of all those songs, put them up, released the 6 we really liked. They're still in the library, and if someone was like, oh, this would be great for a Chevrolet commercial, let's go. And then
that's what you're gonna get. That's what you guys are gonna get. You're gonna get car commercials because you'd be doing that rock shit. You're gonna be getting car commercials. Definitely that. Yes.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man.
So the video that you did, I love the video of reacting to your placement in what was it? The
All American.
Yeah,
thank you.
Dude, it was really cool. Cause like
thank you.
Like as an artist on this journey, it was like, oh fuck yeah. It's like I was like,
thanks, man. That
I
means
could
a
have
lot,
that
seriously.
moment. It was cool to see it through your eyes. And I'm curious for you, when that first placement, do you remember the first placement and what that felt like for you?
Yeah, it was the 2K placement. It was cool. Now for that, it was just an email. I got an email saying, hey, got you a couple placements, and so it was cool. My first placement got to me 2 songs that they said they're going to be used in NBA 2K. I'm gonna be real though. I had to hunt the shit out of those placements. I had to hunt. They didn't. And that, okay, here's another thing I want to talk about. We can go past.
Okay, let's go.
We're good. I'm in no rush. So
okay.
But I know you have stuff you got to do, so I won't keep you too long. But with Sync, like when you get your placements, they don't say, okay, you got a placement. Here's the video. Go ahead and post it on all socials. We're really happy for you. No.
They don't give a
they
fuck.
say,
they're like,
well,
you're placed.
I don't want to say that. They're happy because they help pitch you. You got a placement, but they do not give you the footage. You have to go buy the game. They're not gonna give you a free fucking copy of the game. It's like, bitch, I'm in the game. You can't give me a copy.
You're like, I can write off buying video games now, though. This is great.
I need to look into all that, to be honest. I'm terrible with all that. I got to figure that stuff out, all the business. But so like, yeah, game comes out. I hear I'm in it. Cool. I had to search for it. Couldn't find it. Luckily, someone tagged me on TikTok with the song. I'm like, wait, how are you doing that? They're like, you're in the game. You're in the game. You have to download it though. And it was like in the game, there's like a store. You have to buy it. It was a pain in the ass. So that was the first placement. But I mean, and that was cool. I mean, it was great. But I think I really appreciated it more with that TV reaction you saw, because that was more like, I knew it was in this episode and I didn't know where it was at. But I told myself it's probably going to be in a pretty cool spot because the song's pretty aggressive. And then just the way it happened, like you saw in that reaction, that was my legit first reaction. My parents were on FaceTime with me on the phone next to me.
Cool,
like,
man.
Yeah, and you're going to have
making me emotional thinking about it.
Man.
Like thinking about it again, because it really was just a cool moment the way you captured it. And yeah,
I appreciate that.
Awesome.
And you're going to have that moment too, bro. And the first placement but that's my point. The first placement wasn't like that. It was just, okay, we had to start somewhere. Here we are.
Cool.
But I am glad. Of course, I'm super grateful for that placement. But So far, the most fulfilling one was that TV placement because I'm like, oh shit, all right. And it was a nice length too, and it overperformed what I thought it would be, and yeah, man, that was cool. And you're gonna have that too.
That's really cool.
So yeah,
Yeah, and
bro.
I got to imagine for your fans, like seeing that too, just to, that connection. And I love that. Like, I think you were like in your kitchen, if I remember right.
It's all one big apartment. Yeah,
One big, it's Chicago, right?
it's one room. Yeah, it's one room. I appreciate you though. Yeah, my kitchen is my bedroom. But yeah.
Gotcha. But even that I thought was really cool because I think it gives perspective to people. Like you don't have to have this huge studio. You don't have like,
Yes.
there's people like that. That's the other thing, talking to Josh Williams initially, where he's like, I'm in my, I think at the time in his living room or something, making these tracks, and he's getting
Yes.
Pepsi, and he's getting like
Oh, dude.
big, like all these big placements. And he's like, I'm doing this from my fucking bedroom.
Yeah.
And I just put the work in to get good at this. And because
Exactly.
I think as artists, and I'm guilty of it too. It's like, I'm guilty of this even when it comes to fucking plugins. Like, I'm addicted to plugins now, and I have to like tell myself, you don't need that plugin. You just need to get better at doing EQ, man. Like that, just
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
it's like I think there's this, what's like
Like you have to
misconception that
you have to
I
buy your
need this and that.
quality. Like you have to
Yeah,
buy your quality when really it's like you can work with the more bare bones. It's just about getting the bare bones right first kind of stuff, maybe.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and some of those things, like if you want a certain string sound or something, like there are some levels to that shit. But
But yeah, I'm sure.
all in all, you don't have to go record with Rick Rubin before you get your first, Netflix placement.
Love Rick Rubin though.
Kind
Love
of
Rick
thing.
Rubin.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
too. He was
Fucking
like our
genius.
band's Bible for about a year and a half when we first started learning how to write together. Because I
Yeah.
used to always write by myself and then work with the producer, and he would flesh it out, and then the band would come in and play. Essentially, maybe they would say like, "Hey, what if we change this or that?" But not much input from the band.
Yeah.
It was 2.5 years ago. We decided we were like, let's do this collaborative. Like, let's
Yeah.
write completely together. And it was Rick Rubin was like, yeah, that the artist way. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Uh,
with the circle on it. No, not the Artist Way. That's
is
a
that
good
a
book
different book?
too. He is his fuck.
The way,
Someone with the
the
circles on
creative
it.
act.
Maybe so. Yeah. It's got a circle on it.
I'm just misinforming
No,
everybody
you're
about
fine.
everything
Great
today.
book.
Let's look here.
People listening definitely
The
read that shit.
creative, yeah, it's the creative act.
Very
And
good
yeah,
book.
we constantly had to reference that to each other, and it helped us like learn how to communicate to each other and learn how to essentially, for lack of a better term, vibe together, which vibe would work
Yes.
really well when you're referring to Rick Rubin
No, totally.
and how he approaches it.
That's right. Well, and two, what was I gonna say? Oh, when you write it all together, like it's just gonna help your guys' synergy as a band, because that way they're gonna be more passionate when they're performing because they know they helped with it. So instead of just if you write it all and there's like, all right, here's his part, versus, oh, I helped with that. I'm gonna try a little harder here and maybe put a little more effort in to make those splits actually make sense. I'm not
Right.
trying to call it your band. I just mean all bands.
Absolutely.
That's cool, man.
One,
Yeah.
it's freed me up. It's actually made me so like I don't feel as much pressure anymore. I used to feel so much pressure with
True.
it, where now I'm just kind of like, fuck yeah, it's our writing day. Let's go to let's see what happens. And it's
Yeah, no,
always
that's fun.
bigger
It makes
than
more
any
fun.
one person can do. And it's freed me up to think about other projects that don't fit into the run with it sound.
Yes.
It's like, that's our sound, that's our thing. And now I got my thing over here. It's kind of freed me.
No, that's perfect, because then you can still do your own personal story of writing with your own stuff. And then when you come together with your band, you guys can do your full story of your band making stuff. So yeah, that's cool. I dig that.
Well,
I dig that.
Well, and time wise, I got 3 more questions that I
Okay,
want to hit you with, and then I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of Memorial Day,
Sure.
whatever
Same
that
to
looks
you.
like for you.
You can finish up your garage. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, that is not happening. I'm probably gonna grab another quirk and go watch a movie with my wife. But
There you go. There you go.
but I'm curious, as a rapper and a lyricist, and then you're doing, roughly, like you said, around 100 songs a year. What do you do? What I'm trying to form this question. So how do you keep your ideas fresh? Like,
Yeah.
what does that look like for you?
I listen to music all the time, dude. Like these are headphones. I have my AirPods in all the time. I'm constantly listening to music. So I'm stealing. That's what people don't talk about, dude. I
Like
steal.
breaking it.
Well, yeah, but I take from all my favorite artists in
Mm-hmm.
the mix. Yes, I combine them all together, and that's where you get TC in the mix. That's what I am. I'm all these guys on my wall. I take a little bit of cadence from ASAP Rocky. I take some cadence from Big Sean. I take some from Eminem. But then I also, with all that combined, it makes who I am. Dude, I'm always listening to music, and that's how I stay fresh too. Is I listen to the modern music of whoever's hot, and even if it's what the kids are listening to, I'm like, okay, why do they like this though? What is it about it that's making them fuck with this? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna steal some of that, so I stay modern. Always listening to music. I listen to old stuff too. I listen to different genres. And then I just, TC the mix in different ways. Like I combine it all, and that's what I do to stay. Or else, yeah, you'd run out of shit. I mean, Drake and Kanye, they're on my wall too. That's what their secrets were, was always kind of picking, and Jay-Z too. Like they pick from people, but still do their own thing as well. So yeah, I'm constantly listening to music, and it might be a disorder I have where I have to constantly listen to music, but I'm always listening to music. Yeah, yeah,
That's
man.
awesome, man. Yeah, and that's really cool. Like just making sure you're bringing in that input is how you approach it. Because I've been studied this biography on Timberland, and he
Okay.
was talking about like constantly logging sounds. Like
Yes.
his whole life is just, even to this day, as a, like, what is it, probably like 50, like early
50s.
50s,
Yeah,
something like that.
probably.
Like to this
Yeah.
day, it sounds like he's just made a habit of like everything he hears, he's just logging it. He's like, I'm bringing
Yes.
that in. How do I bring
Yes.
that into this? And but that, I think that's why he was able to do such iconic songs and blend so many different genres together to create something fresh and new.
Bro, I literally was listening to like 2007 Timbaland. I literally have been like studying that a little bit of like his uh Shock Value, I think it is. Shock Value is his project name.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just like EDM-ish pop, hip hop, but dude, it was ahead of its time.
Oh,
And yeah,
okay.
he's always staying ahead of the curve somehow. Like now he's really good about the AI, staying on top of that. But yeah, I something I learned that earlier with writing, I always thought like, oh, I gotta be original. No, dude, all you do, you take X and Y and then you combine them because it's never been combined, and then it's already something original. Like
Yeah.
Nirvana wasn't an original thing. I think they took the Pixies and then some other band and just combined those, and that's how you came Nirvana. Or you take Drake was like a combination of Kanye plus some R&B, like Aaliyah or something. So nothing's original, and I think it says that in the Rick Rubin book.
It's like how you mix it, and
Yeah, it's all.
like
I mean, yeah, no
it's
pun,
like
but
food.
seriously, that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we keep
no,
coming back
seriously
to it.
though, I know, but that's where it is. Like I literally just always listen to music all the time, and it's gonna come out with what you do as a vocalist. Too. Like sometimes you'll hear your vocals, you're like, oh, I definitely stole that from. Look, I stole from you. I just told you,
Yes,
right? Because
that's
I heard.
awesome, man.
So there
That's
you
a
go.
great
You're in the
feeling. I'm
right
honestly, I'm
though.
like, fuck yes.
But I didn't even do it on purpose. It was just like because I've heard you play that song a couple times in Sync Alliance, so it just had a little pocket in my brain, and I did an ad lib. So that's what I do. I constantly steal from everyone.
Yeah. Well, and honestly,
No,
that's one reason it's multiple reasons I do it, but there's one reason I try to go through as much as I can, all the submissions just on my
yeah,
own and
no, that's
listen,
smart.
because I feel like when I'm doing, I have my headphones on and I just feel like I'm trying to soak up like the mix. I'm trying to soak up the placement. I'm trying to soak up like the frequencies or where they're at or the lyrics or the arrangement, whatever it is. It's like, cause I'm hoping like 2 months from now, when I'm sitting there making another track, I'll be like, oh, I remember how they put this one little percussion. That was pretty cool. Let's see if we
No,
can do
that
something
is
like that,
smart.
that kind of thing. And
Reference, dude. Like you got a reference,
absolutely.
and even
Go ahead.
yeah, go
Sorry about
ahead.
that.
No, you're good. You go ahead.
Well, I've been nerding out on just trying to study my favorite producers, and
Yeah,
Mike Shinoda is another one. So
dude,
I went through a book
genius.
on Linkin Park, and
Oh, so
that's
cool.
the person who wrote the book. You could tell was just a fan, like a true fan, and he broke down like the lineage of like how Rakim was like an influence to Mike Shinoda and Jay-Z, and then like again they come to that collaboration, but then he went
Dude,
on to
so
show
good.
how like 21 Pilots and some of these other bands were like offshoots, and we wouldn't have them without the fact that they mixed all these things together. And then, you know, you had like Limp Bizkit and all these other people that kind of fit in the same era, you know, and they're all, and it was just that was the one reason I love Linkin Park, is because it was just one of the first bands to say, fuck it, we're doing it all, you know?
No, seriously though.
All in here.
I mean, Hybrid Theory was one of their, that was like
that was the first one.
Yeah,
they started, they were Zero and then Hybrid Theory.
Yes.
And then Linkin Park, but named their first album Hybrid Theory.
Yes, but hybrid isn't that literally where you combine two things, right? That's hybrid, right?
Yeah.
And that's literally,
it's just like weed if it's a hybrid strain.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I say when I smoked, they're called hybrids. But seriously, like I think that's the secret too, is if you want to make something new, you got to just take two things that have already been done and you just put them together, that two things that never got put together before. And that's something I wish I would have realized earlier in music, because you get so caught up in trying to make an original sound when all you had to do was take two things that have been done and combine them that never got combined.
Right.
So,
and
one other thing I wanted to say too was, I was saying I listened to a lot of music, and I'm glad you said studying Sync Alliance, but also now anytime a commercial's on, I stop everything I'm doing and watch that commercial. I listen, like what vocals was used there. Okay, now I need to incorporate that in my next songs I'm making, or else they're never going to use my shit. But also put my own spin on it, and you got to do that with your band. You know, like when you hear a band on a commercial, hold on, what did they do? All right, I'm going to do that, but we're going to put our little run with it, you know, special sauce on it too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I have noticed this changing how I listen to shows. I was watching a show and they had a Sex Pistols song that was like integral to the story, but the way that the video editor had mixed it in with the dialogue and stuff, I was like, oh, that's curious. Like, so it made me think about, like, even as we arrange our stuff, like how would that work? And they did Handmaid's Tale. They started off the last episode of the last season with Taylor Swift, Look What You Made Me Do. And it was the way they did it was just badass. But the way that they mixed it, even there, I was like, it's ruined me in a way, but I love it at the same time. I'm just kind of studying while I'm watching the show.
Right. It's like you can't even pay attention to the show. You're too worried about the music in it. But it's a good thing to study, dude, because that's the best way. I mean, Josh always says in our class, like, dude, just watch TV, but watch it for the music part, or ads or movie trailers or whatever, and then just take what they do and put your own sauce on it. It's going to work eventually. There's something else I was going to say, but yeah, man.
Well, before I do the last two questions, I know it seems like you do have a lot of thoughts in this realm of, you know, things that people just don't talk about in the sync world. Is there any other last things that are floating around in your brain that are like, man, I wish someone would have told me this? Or why are you just angry because you feel like no one's talking about this thing in sync?
I would say, just when you get into sync, like, just keep your head down and just make a bunch of music. And those little moments where you get some validation that, you know, you're on the right track, just focus in on that and just keep making it. I hate when people just say, like, you just gotta try hard and blah, blah, blah. Like, you have to just keep your head down and know that it's going to take a little bit of time, and you got to keep creating a bunch of music. And as long as it's pretty good, it's going to work out. And even if it's not that good, you're going to get better anyway. I've had people in Sync Alliance that started off decent and now they're a lot better. And what else I wish people would have told me? Let me think. Maybe, like, don't get too caught up in like, you're going to learn the game eventually too, like all the contracts and all that too. I'm still kind of learning that better, and I know you're more of a business guy, so you've been better about that, but I kind of was just like, I gotta just
a lot though.
And and me too. But I think just getting the formula down of sync music, get that. It doesn't have to be the best quality, but try to get it the best you can and just make a lot of it. Keep your head down, get it signed to places, but keep making music and keep getting it signed. Don't just kick back if you got some stuff signed and think, all right, we're good. No. You got to keep doing that over and over and over, and you got to push yourself, or else you're not going to do as much in sync as you might want to do. So, and just put in that extra effort, man. Like, I mean, I'll say this, dude, like, I want to shout out Tiffism. I want to say Tiffany Williams. I should be wrong. I might be wrong on that, but Tiffism, I met her from Sync Alliance. She put me on to making mock reels. So that's where that
makes a lot of sense to do that.
It does, because it helps with validation too. And I could be wrong on her full name, but Tiffism, really cool girl.
What she is on, like, Instagram, Tiffism?
Yeah, should be TIFFISM. Great personality, great energy, and she put me onto a couple things. She made me realize to network.
Is it Tiffany Eric Williams?
Okay,
Does
good.
that
I did
sound
get it
right?
right. Yes, that's her.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, it looks
So
like
I'm
we have a lot of mutual
yeah,
friends
because she
now in the
came from
sync world.
she
So
was in Sync Alliance. Yeah.
okay, cool.
So I want to shout her out because she put me onto the idea of just networking, which I should have known, like hitting people up for like a coffee or something so that you can bring them value first and then pick their brain a little. But also she put me onto a mock reel. So you're going to go to a commercial that has something like your band. And as soon as you find that, you download the video and find a way to get your audio there that has the same type of part from your song and match it up. And then just make
Edit
sure that,
points and
like
those kind of things.
yeah, yes.
Okay.
And it just helps you realize, okay, this fits too. And that's something that I
Now,
wish
are
I
you
would have
pitching
done.
those? You're pitching those mock reels to people?
I put them in the disco links. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I would do that. Yep. That's a little, but I didn't come up with that. I got that from Tiff.
I love it.
She did it. We did a song and she did it for a Lay's commercial. I'm like, holy shit, that fits really well, like weirdly well. And it helps with your own confidence too, especially early on in sync.
You're
For
like,
the people
I
that are
can see
like,
it.
yes,
Yeah.
dude, and it helps, man. So now I do that. It's exhausting, but I do it every time now when I make an EP.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got another thing on the list.
No, seriously though.
But it sounds like it'd
it
be
helps.
well worth it. Yeah.
It is worth it because it helps you believe it and it helps the person you're pitching to believe it as well, which is even more important because then you're putting that in their brain for the next time they get a brief for a Ford commercial that needs something like your band. Oh, yeah, I already just seen this place to this. Let me just try because I just seen that already. It might, I don't know if it annoys some of the people I give it to because they might be like, who's this guy think he is? Thinks he's a music supervisor? But I'm like, fuck it. I'm just trying to get the ball rolling quicker. And you'll see me post on my TikToks of, hey, does this song fit the commercial or whatever? And some people are like, wait, did you get that placement or is this a fake? I'm like, it's fake, but does it fit? And
Right.
shit like that. So my point was just do extra than the next person, or else you're just going to be another person in sync. So if you're not doing
please
something
put
to
my
stand
music in there, please.
yeah, right. So do it for them, and then they're like, oh, all right, well, that kind of helps out a little. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love that, man. Well,
Thanks, man.
more on the philosophical end, the last two
Okay.
questions based off the podcast, Live and Create.
Yes.
Right now in your life, how would you define living a great life?
Great question. I know that everyone's pushing the authentic thing, but seriously, like being your authentic self, but also like being your authentic self and not worried if it makes you lose relationships with friends, with family members, with work associates, collaborations in sync. Because if you're holding that back and you're trying to still pursue it, you're just going to hate yourself. So at least be your authentic self first. And then whoever sticks around, fuck yeah, because those are your people. I learned that. You said to live your best life. What was like the question again?
How would you define living a great life?
Living a great life. Just being the best version of yourself in every category too. Like I'm working on this and I'm not the best yet in everything, but like I'm trying to be the best uncle I can be. And I'm trying to be the best friend I can be, even though I fucked that up, but I'm trying to start over. And being the best coworker I can be, and being the best sync collaborator I can be, authentically though, and not fakely, like just to make someone think that I'm being genuine, like being the best version in every area and keeping track of that. I'll go to my journal sometimes. Oh, I gotta get a breath. I'm getting all excited. I'll go in my journal and I'll say, and I'll kind of take a score in my life. I'll put sync, I'll put exercise, diet, original music, dating, all that, and I'll score it 1 through 10. Thank you. And then and then I look at the score and whatever is the lower numbers, I circle those. I'm like, okay, I got to work on this shit right now. And then come back and do that every month or so. I fall off sometimes, but yeah, I think that really.
I love that.
Man. Thank you.
I love it because I like once a week I have a journal and I have 4 goals in my personal, 4 goals in my professional, and I just copy paste. And then I go through each one and just talk to myself as if I'm like having a one-on-one sit down with myself and saying, how do we do this week? And I've learned to be way less judgy though, because I used to be like berate myself, but more it's just like, okay, this week you didn't do as great on this part. So what can you do next week? You know, and then I plan my next week out after that. And I love to hear when other people have that same kind of perspective. That's really cool.
Oh,
I
dude,
love it.
yeah, you have to check in with yourself. I mean, I'll say that you're a family man, so there's a lot more to make that happen for you. Like, it's easy for me. I live alone. I'm alone all the fucking time, so it's pretty easy. I'm just saying, props to you for still finding that window. You got a band
Uh,
too. You got two
Thank you, man.
families. You got your band and
That's
yours.
true.
You know what I'm
It
saying?
kind of is like two families.
For real. So
Yeah,
props to you for still finding that time. It's easy for me. I'm on my own a lot. So, but it's just anyone should do that because it just if as long as you're the best version of yourself first, it's gonna make everyone else appreciate you more too. So
absolutely. And
yeah, man.
I think the piece, for anyone who might be listening to, if that's not something they've tried, I think one reason I started doing is because there's times where I've realized like there's times in my life where I really hit my goals, and from a year later, my life looked different. And then
Yeah.
there's been other times where I'm like, I'm still doing the same dumb shit I did a year ago.
Yes.
And as I'm getting older, I'm realizing it's easier and easier to drift to that. And I'm like, I don't next year this time to look different. I want
That's
to have
right.
grown. I want all these pieces to grow. So it's like I got to figure out a way, to make that different. So that's
I
cool,
think
man.
yeah, and
Well,
a way to I'll be quick. A way I do that too is every year, like I have my 31 up. I'm 31, so right now I have that up on my board here of things I want to try to get done at in 31, and then next year I come back to that and look at okay, we didn't do that. That's unrealistic. Let's see what we can do this year. So there's levels. There's a weekly, monthly, yearly, and it sounds like you're doing that too, bro. So props to
absolutely.
you, man.
Yeah, and
Yes.
like I like that you said that too, though, where it's like because I realize there's sometimes I'm like, am I gonna fucking do these 20 things? I would be
I
like
know.
fucking Superman. Like I called my wife one day. I was like, sleep is stupid. Why do I have to sleep? Because
Oh,
I
you
like
have
I
to.
tried to push too hard, and
I
I was
know.
like, I can't move anymore. It's like okay, like maybe I was unrealistic about this thing.
Yes. How much sleep do you? How many hours do you try to get?
Usually it's like between 4 to 5 in general.
Every night?
It seems to be like a sweet spot for me. It's kind of weird.
Really?
But I say that where like I've been noticing, so I'm having to renegotiate that with myself because what I'm noticing is I do that now. I'll go for like 2, 3 weeks and be pretty solid, but then the next week I can't seem to fucking get up after. Like,
Mm.
so I'll go through. So I'm recognizing. I think for years I've done it that way, and I think my
Really?
body is shifting to where I
Yeah.
can't. Something's telling me now that like last week was one of those weeks where it all caught up to me, and it's like I just could not get up when my alarm would go off. Like
I'm
I
sure,
just
dude.
there was nuts. So I was on the road this past weekend, and I was planning on leaving early in the morning to get back to do this other thing with like my wife and I have a business together as well. And I had to call my wife. I was like, I think I need to sleep. And she's like, yeah, you
Yeah.
need to fucking sleep.
Yeah, you do.
And it's
I
like I
got
needed
you.
her permission to do it, and
Yeah.
so I'm recognizing I don't think I can continue to sustain that. So I'm gonna
Hmm.
even I've been assessing like my own schedule. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
now talking about my sleep habits
No, no,
forever,
no. You're
but it
fine.
is. I think for a long time I could just do it, and I felt great, and I actually always felt better doing it that
Yeah.
way. But yeah, now I got 2 or 3 good weeks of that, and then I'm fucked for like a week. So I'm like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
I need to
What do you think
shift
about
it.
7 to 8 hours?
I think I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do that or get
Yeah.
closer to that.
Yeah.
And what's nice is because the kids are getting older, it's shifting our schedules too.
There
So
you go.
some of it was just kind of like if I didn't get up at 4, some shit just didn't happen
I
until
see.
like because of bus schedules and all this other stuff. Where
Exactly. See,
now that's not as much of a thing. So now I'm like realizing, okay, maybe maybe Miguel, you could sleep
can
in longer.
adjust it. But that's the thing, man. Like, it's easy for me to say, I can get 7 to 8 hours. I'm by myself, man. You have families to take care of. So I do know that we have different perspectives. So, like, it's easy for
Right.
me to say. But yeah,
Yeah,
you'll
and
find your balance, man.
life is seasons too, where it's like
Yeah.
sometimes you just gotta push. Like we toured for like 2 years, not like it was just on, off, on, off. I saw my guys more than my family. Like it
Yeah.
was just that was a season,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I don't
Yeah.
and it was a rough one.
Chapters.
It was a
Chapters,
good
man.
one, but it's like I don't know if we want to do it exactly like that.
But you did get it
Well,
out, right? You got
yeah.
that chapter out. So
And I
that's
think
cool.
it was a necessary step too. I don't
Oh, it
even
was. Of course
regret
it
it.
was.
Like
No,
we had to do it.
you did. That's right.
But last question for you.
Sure.
Right now, how would you define creating great things?
How would I define making great things? Gosh, I don't know. How would I define making great things? I think you just got to go off. your own like initial. I think I even said it in that Rick Rubin thing. Like if you don't feel good about it when you make it, that's what matters the most. Like if you make something and you feel really good about it, you put it out and that's it. Now it's in everyone else's. As long as it's, if you get, that feeling when you hit certain notes when you're singing, you're like, oh shit, I didn't even think I was gonna hit it like this. And then you hit it, you're like, whoa, whoa, something just shot through my body. I'll tell you, like, I don't have like a great answer to it, but the other day I was recording, I had a song written, I was gonna sing it a certain way. And I started to sing it that way. It was going all right. And then I hit it a certain way when I was singing. I know you can relate. And you're like, whoa, whoa, I feel powerful right now. Like I feel electric. I think that's how you know you're reaching greatness. Even if no one ever hears it or if it ever gets picked up for a sync, like I think that would be the definition of that's a self greatness, I guess. But then something for the world, I don't know. How do you know that's greatness? You're saying? What was the question?
Yeah, or
again?
how would you define it? Or if it makes more sense to say how do you know that it's great? But typically, I think like how would you define, like if you're going to put something in the world and it was in your hand, you're handing it to the world, what would make you confident that that was great as you're handing it to the world?
Yeah, I think just like if we're talking about, well, with anything, it's that you got to feel really good about it. Yeah, I would just say what matters most is as long as you feel really good about it, because no matter what, someone's not gonna like it, someone is gonna like it, and it's better to go extreme than try to keep a mid. So everyone, and I know it's crazy to say with sync, because obviously you want a broad, but you should do something that is gonna form an opinion. Either someone's gonna hate it or love it, and if you try to go with that mid thing, that's probably playing it too safe. Even with sync, and I'll make some stuff sometimes where you see it in our feedback sessions, man. Like sometimes the guests fucking rip us. I'm like, that's fine. That's your opinion. I think it's still great. So I just think it matters that, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I remember one of your tracks, it was like a country thing. And I remember there was one person who was like, oh, we just don't touch this anymore. No one wants this. And I swear the week before the supervisor was like, oh, I could put this a million places. Do you remember this?
Of course I do.
They were talking specifically, and I was like, that's so, and that was just enlightening in itself, where I was like, it's a great track.
Thank you.
But it was in one person's eyes, they were like, I can't do shit with this. And the other person was like, I got 100 things I could put this on right now.
That's right.
And it was just a weak difference.
Yeah. And dude, thank you for bringing that up.
Like same thing, same track.
I know. It was like the same track. So I think the thing is like, I don't know if you ever really know, man. I don't know if you ever know. I think you just have to give something time. Because, like, even to bring it back to sync, the biggest placements you get, there were never the songs where I'm like, oh, this is the one. The biggest placements I've gotten so far were just some songs that I made. Even with the first placement I got, it was a 6-track EP. They picked one of the songs I didn't really think that much of. So I think it's just you have to give something time, and you're never going to know it's great until you give something some time and let it make some impact, I guess. Because there's like your own selfish greatness, but then there's something that's bigger than you that people are going to pick up more. Now, if you can get both, that's greatness, I guess. Yeah, that's greatness. Where it's
all together.
You fuck with it really hard and everyone else fucks with it hard too. That's actual greatness, I guess.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome, man. Well, dude, I love it. I love the perspective of patience and hard work. I love that you're like living that out. Let people know.
By the way. Likewise.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Of course.
Let people know how to connect with you, check out your music, license your stuff, collaborate, all those kind of things.
Appreciate you so much, Miguel. This was a blast, and I feel like we've gotten closer now, and I'm excited to make some music with you and your band and see what we get to form together. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at TCintheMix all together. Spotify, same thing, TCintheMix. Same thing for sync stuff too. It's just TCintheMix. Yeah.
I like that branding too. Well done.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you and your Live and Create podcast as well. I love what you're doing and getting all these sync people in here, dude, to talk about this industry. So I'm excited to see what happens with you and your band and your solo stuff as well, bro.
Thank you for listening to the Live and Create podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment or a review.
The Live and Create podcast.